Good morning, everybody. Welcome. I keep acknowledging, I think it is our first session of Wellness Wednesday, and we get to do some work. And so we want to use the time to go ahead and jump straight there. So, good morning. Good morning to each of you as you come into the room. Some of you will want to pull out your paper or some other way of capturing the work that we're going to do on today. It is literally going to be a moment of just putting a tool into the space and allowing God to talk to us and speak to us and give us guidance and to give us insight. I see all of us greeting one another on this morning. Appreciate that. Appreciate you all for creating the energy, this energy that we have right here in the community. Let's go, Jen. If you all who are desiring to take notes, we'll be putting those into the comments. If you're ready, we're going to start with our wellness tool on today. This tool is specifically focused on this piece where we started the passage just this week, but Jesus went to the Mount Olives, and we understood that Mount Olives represented peace. And so what we said was that is synonymous then with understanding that Jesus went to a place of peace. And my God, for myself and for so many others, that is exactly what we need in this holiday season, in this end of the year season, in this busyness season, in this life is lifing season. So many people are very much committed to protecting their peace, identifying their peace, safeguarding their peace. And so today, I want to help us with that. I want to help us to just really hone in and lean in there. And so Jen is putting the three words that we're going to focus on today, this quick little exercise that she and I have actually already just played around with for a bit. And you can see the phases if you desire to chronicle it. I keep saying it because you won't have the time just in our quick time together to completely process it all and really figure it out for different areas of your life. Today we'll do a sample of it, but if you have these three words, you'll be able to really go back in there and just get it, like really get it together. So let's do that. Area, always, and adjustment. If everybody would go ahead and put those quickly in your notes as we prepare to do Wellness Wednesday. And Wellness Wednesday, that's based on principles in God's Word. There's no denying, many of you know, I just recently finished testing and doing all of that stuff. And I keep saying and getting in the process of my private practice. Actually, I'm already in this space of working through some things with that. And so I really want to empower us with tools for wellness. It is God's desire that we be well. And I can start us all the way in Genesis and talk about that, how from the beginning of time, it was his intention. So let's do the work to be aligned with God's ideal state for our existence. So here we are again, as it relates to peace, area, always, and adjustment, right? Again, as a backdrop, but Jesus went to the Mount Olives. That is in the midst of a whole lot of things happening that were coming against him, that were attacking him, that were seeking to minimize him, attempting to caused him to be less than who he was, Jesus went to the Mount Olives. So here's the thing. Let me just start right there. Let's just do the work. Some of you may say, man, there are lots of areas, but I'm going to encourage us for the purpose of just walking through on this morning. Identify at least one area where if you just had to choose, you would say, my God, that's the area where I desire to have peace. Let it be an area that is streamlined in such a way that you're able to identify it. Like someone may say, in my finances, I need peace. In my marriage, I need peace. In my relationship with my daughter, I need peace. In this circumstance that I'm facing with the university, I need peace. In a conversation that I have to have with perhaps a business partner or with a supervisor or with a colleague or with somebody that I supervise, I need peace. In the space with my son, I need peace. With the person that I have to co parent with, I need peace. In the area of grief, I may need peace. Just inviting all of us to think through it, do the work, identify an area, a specific area where you would say, I need peace. I need peace. And so I see people being very vulnerable. Thank you for that. This is a safe space. I see people identifying in my finances, I need peace. In this divorce, I need peace. I see another one in my finances, I need peace. Someone else may be saying, in my emotions, I really do need peace. And this thing that I'm thinking through in my mind, I need peace. So you want to identify your area. That's the first thing. You want to identify a specific area. Someone may be saying, particularly in the holiday season, I need peace. So I invite each of us to consider an area where you need peace. Oh, I love this one. In your narrative about who God is, you need peace. You need to come to some sense of terms and grips about what you've told yourself about God. That's beautiful. In my relationship with my daughter, I need peace. And for all of these that you're speaking, I'm agreeing with you by faith that God will give you peace. But we're going to also do the work because faith without works, it's dead, right? So identify a specific area where you need peace. That's area. And some of you may not at this time want to put yours in the actual comments. You're still maybe processing and mulling over it for yourself, and that's okay. But you'll want to identify a specific area, okay? Once you have that specific area identified, step number two is I say always, it's simply because I like alliteration. I want you to be able to remember it. So all of the steps start with an A, right? So step number two, it's always. So for those of you who are chronicling it, it's always. I see someone else saying, in my health, I need peace. It's so then step number two is always. So if you'll receive that, you start with identifying your area. Then step number two, it's always. What do we mean by always? It's examining your consistent, your frequent, your always response to that area. You have to be clear about how you normally respond in the area where you need peace. What do you typically do? Right? We've all heard many of us have heard the quick summary that says doing what you've always done but expecting different results is insanity. The reality is many people do not hold space or have time because life is lifing to really step back and consider, what have I always done? So this is the work where you really pause long enough to say, in the areas where I am identifying that I need peace, mature woman, kingdom citizen, arise. This is when you step back and you're intentional about owning the actions or owning the behaviors that perhaps contribute to your lack of peace in that area. It is this question that is not for the crowd, it is not for the group, it's not for the best friends, it's for you, to you, about you. Frame the entire question and be bold enough to ask yourself that question. What do I always do, consistently do, typically do, frequently do as it relates to that area where I say I need peace? Like, you got to lean into that. Not what does my mama do? What does my daughter do? What does the spouse or en route to being ex spouse do? What do I do? This is again why I say I know my niche. I'm talking to mature women. I'm talking to kingdom citizens. I'm talking to folk who are no longer in the space of playing victim in their own lives, but women who recognize that even for some of our situations that are trepidatious, we have a role, we have a space, we perhaps have actions that we've played that cause these areas to be as they are. So if I have identified that I want peace in my home, I want peace in this divorce process, I want peace in my finances, I want peace in my relationship with my daughter, I want peace in the narrative that I tell myself about God. What is the accountability space for myself? Because I can be going through a divorce and want peace, and I can be faulting the ex spouse for his actions that led us to the divorce, right? But at the same time, I can own, though, that when we show up at mediations or when we're communicating with one another, I do, I do get loud, or I do say unnecessary comments that escalate the situation. I do make it difficult. And so if he's called me, I'm not going to return the call until probably like 11:55 at night. Like, and I'm just making up examples to say, mature woman, kingdom citizen, we own our parts in escalating confusion, drama, whatever that is, and not holding space for peace. Let me just jump to a completely different one. Someone can be saying, my space is finances. I want peace in my finances. What part then do you need to own in your actions? What do you consistently do with your finances? Are you busy trying to impress people? And so you go out for dinners, or you host things that you know you cannot afford. That's not judgment, that's accountability. Are you the person who has to have the latest outfit? And do you justify shopping a lot because you say, well, it's only on Shein, or it's only on Temu, or it's only on Amazon, and it's on sale? If you're working on getting peace in your finances, even when something is low in cost or on sale, it doesn't mean that you, sis, need to buy it. It's it's growing up in our behaviors. So there's just a host of things that people listed where people are saying, I want peace in that area. The next step then is to say, what do I always do? For a measure of then being accountable is sitting with it and really processing. So, what do I do as it relates to that area consistently? And is there any part then that I need to own that gives me accountability? But here is the beautiful thing about accountability. Everybody lean in. This is the beautiful thing about ownership and accountability, is that it gives you empowerment to do something different. Some people resist accountability because they don't want to be held responsible. But adulting, ownership, accountability, and responsibility also gives you empowerment. It gives you a way to say, if I own that I make those choices, then I can choose to do something different. If I exist in a narrative that life is happening to me, and everything is always somebody else's fault, then you go through life being the victim. And each of us, if we're not careful, we can paint a victim narrative about anything. We can project ourselves as consistently the victim in any scenario. Truly, the empowerment piece is even in spaces where it's not right towards you, you then still have to own, then why do you put yourself in those spaces? You're an adult. If certain environments and spaces are uncomfortable, even in that, why do you subject yourself and choose to then be in those environments? Let me bring that home. For those of you who are saying, I need peace in these holiday seasons. I need peace in these holiday seasons where we have to gather with folk, where we have to be around a lot of people, where we have to do certain things. That's a narrative. You don't have to do that. You can really choose that I understand right now subjecting myself to that holiday gathering at so and so's house that normally erupts into some type of family argument, or there's tensions and undercurrents, or whatever that is. I don't have to subject myself to that. I always go. See, that's the thing. The area is holiday. I always go. I always engage. Without fail, somebody ends up making an explosive comment. There are tensions in the atmosphere. Folk leave mad and upset with each other. I do not have to always do that. I can be empowered to choose something different, but I have to be bold and courageous enough to prioritize my peace. I ran a whole lot of examples there together real quick as we do our Wellness Wednesday work. But I'm asking you that if you're tracking, to either let me know that you're tracking by saying I'm tracking, or just leaning on the like button or doing some kind of indication so that I can see that we're there. This is our wellness work, y'all. And we got to do the work. I see some people saying, I got to own my choices. Absolutely. I see someone indicating you're following, you're understanding. Very good. So, here in these last few minutes, because we're there. So, again, everybody get these three nuggets down: area, always, adjustment, so that you can really do the work of it. And then, even tomorrow and talk to me Thursday, we'll come right back here and I'll answer some questions, like, because you may have, like, okay, this is my specific area, but I've not figured out then how to get to the adjustment. But the critical piece is to identify an area, and you can do this over and over again for multiple areas in your life. But we're just starting with one. So, again, you can identify an area. It may be finances, it may particularly be finances in the end of the year where you may feel like, man, I keep my budget all year long. But then when it comes to these holiday season, man, I be cutting up. That's your always. I go, I get extravagant gifts. I host things that I cannot afford. I try to impress people with what I'm getting them. I still got some self-esteem stuff going on, so I want to be the one that gives the biggest and the best gifts. Like, you really get to sit with yourself, and you don't necessarily have to say it out loud here in the community, but you know what you consistently do. Grown woman, mature woman, kingdom citizen, that's who I'm talking to. So you identify the area. For somebody else, you may say, man, during the holidays, let's just do real talk. I'm, as a single woman, I can get real lonely. Somebody may say that. And you may say, so what do I always do? I end up going and getting back with an ex, or getting with somebody who I know they're not really good for me. But I do that consistently just so that I can have company, just so I can have somebody to hold hands with, and do the whole holiday season with. And that's real. That's a real desire. That's a real desire. That's real talk. Some of you may say, I have this imagery of what the holiday season looks like. And man, I be want to get on my little old matching pajama set, and me and my mom be BFFs and hang out together. And so I consistently like try to set up something and invite her over, and I get the pajama sets, and I make the meal. And you know what? She rarely shows. And you go on this whole victimization thing, and she don't show up. And then when she do come, we end up arguing. Look, chick, you the one try to set that up every year. That's you. That's you. You got to own that part instead of focusing on how the mama didn't show up right and do what was right and didn't pitch in and didn't even come and got there 3 hours late and didn't even wear the pajamas. She said, "Chick, you do that. You set that up." I'm trying to help us, y'all. Like we got to gauge it. We got to figure out what's our always, and then we get to lean into the passage that we saw with our big brother Jesus this week. We get to lean right there again, y'all. Like literally, the Bible is so much more than a novel for entertainment. It is Jesus modeling for us what to do. So I'm going to take us right there so I can show y'all that it's scriptural. It says, but Jesus went to the Mount of Olives. He went to a place that represented peace. We get to choose, y'all. What's our but? That's the A for adjustment. What's your but? You get to be real grown womanish and you get to choose. You do not have to do what everybody else is doing. Y'all write it down. Area always adjustment. What's your but? What's your but that empowers you to choose peace? If you have identified an area, you know what you always consistently, frequently do as it relates to that area. And the results of those actions do not bring you peace. What's your but Jesus, but Gina, but Sharice, but Sarah, but Alice, but Deborah? Everybody who have areas where you want peace, what's your but? What's your but? And here's what's beautiful about it. The world often has this narrative of being reactive. Will y'all lean in with me and really embrace that we are kingdom citizens? We are in this world, but we're not of it. We don't have to be reactive beings. There are certain things where life just happens, and yeah, we have to respond in the moment. But there are so many other spaces where we've lived long enough to know ourselves, to know what wounds us, to know what triggers us, to know what sets us off, to know what disappoints us, that we don't have to lay around like victims and just let it happen. We can be proactive. We can think about it in advance. We can say in advance, you know what? Every Christmas, y'all, I'm just giving real examples. From this one particular person, it could be your spouse, it could be your child, it could be your in laws, it could be your mom, it could be a sibling, where you may say, I go out of my way and I get the best thing that I can get for them because I keep trying to extend an olive branch and I keep trying to make amends and I keep trying to make sure that we're good, and I feel like I'm chasing that relationship with them, and I'm running after that relationship with them, and it always erupts ugly because they never really embrace me. And sis, with all of the love in my heart that I have for you, I would still say that's on you because you're still chasing. I can't fix how they respond, but I can ask you, what about you is so not well and so not whole that at this point in replicating behavior for years, you're still chasing it? Own that, do the work of that, and then figure out how to navigate differently. And I'll share this as a personal example. Then we're going to wrap up and go. For years, I would probably overextend in the space of kind of like big sister syndrome, because I am that. I'm a big sister. I'm the second oldest child in a family of 8. So I have a whole lot of big sister, own it, carry the weight, uh, process adult stuff, because in some instances with 10 folk in our family, like I understood at a very early age with my parents having 8 kids. I understood very early about sacrificing and splitting and sharing. And anybody who's in my personal space, y'all know I cut up a pound cake about 88 different ways because I'll make sure everybody get a little pinch of it. I understood early on about going without so that some of the younger siblings could have certain things, because I already knew, honey, we didn't even have no chimney. Santa Claus wouldn't come down the roof anyway. Like I just got stuff early on just for my space, right? And you layer that with like ministry and just this whole, you layer that with Christianity and some narratives and erroneous teachings about in Christianity. And I'm just saying, as a backdrop, I had a lot of like self-sacrificing martyr types of stuff as it relates to people. And I can remember really having to come to a space where I would repeatedly feel in certain dynamics like that I was carrying the weight of particularly ensuring that a person who was a part of some of my engagements was going to have a good time. Have any of you ever been in that space where you invite certain people like out for dinner or to a holiday brunch or just any entertainment supposed to be fun type of something, and most of your time there is spent trying to make sure that they have a good time? Do you understand what I'm saying? If you're at the party, if you're at the event, if you're at the dinner, you're always trying to make sure that they're doing okay, because they consistently are not doing okay. I see some of you saying you get it, like that friend, like that's where the terms like and I know we have some Deborahs and they're not downers, but that's where the terms like Debbie Downer comes from. Because our Peggy problem, I think I just made that one up in my spirit. But it's those people, like it don't matter what you do, consistently they gonna be the one with an issue, right? And so I see so many of you saying yes. And so y'all, I'm just sharing that without, I'm not in any ways going to indicate names or anything of that nature. But I would honestly own that all the time. And there came a point in my life, honestly, where I was just going through a very difficult space where I felt emotionally depleted. I felt like just for the stuff that I had to do, I didn't have the space for for the extraneous. Have any of you ever been going through enough for real stuff that you can't even afford to pack other people's stuff? Like it's okay if you in that space and you doing that, you do that, but I'm just not gonna own that, because what I'm going through for myself, not only have you not checked to see what that is, but it's serious to me. So I can't carry your stuff right now, right? So I was in that space, y'all. And I remember going to something and I was just so irritated that in the middle of what was supposed to be a fun moment, like honey, I had planned my own intervention. So in the middle of what was supposed to be a fun moment, I kid you not, I promise to God, y'all. I'm saying it almost comically, but I promise to God, y'all. Like, I felt like, now I promise, I thought you told me your grandma had passed last year. I promise to God, I'm not trying to be facetious about that. You say she passed? I promise to God, I can remember you already told me that grandma, she had passed. I promise I'm not making fun of that. I'm saying that for real. Like you have so many issues. You can't even keep up with which issue you done already utilized and told before. And so on this particular moment, I'm remembering that I'm like, for real. So you bring that up in this moment, in this fun moment, and now my attention is supposed to be directed towards somebody passing. And I know it sounds facetious, but in my head, and I'm also processing, and I think you already done used that one before. I really do. I think you've already used that one before. And so, y'all, I'm being irritated. But let me do this tool that we have on the screen, area always adjustment. What I recognize is that the area that I needed peace in that moment, because of the different things that were happening in my own life, I needed peace in the area of my emotions, particularly as it related to social gatherings. I needed spaces that were just moments of woosah, moments of exhale, moments of just laugh till your stomach hurt, moments of nothingness. Have y'all ever needed that? Honey, I'm not trying to solve a world problem right now. I'm not trying to fix the church. I'm not trying to figure out what's going on with you and your relationships. I just want to get somewhere and giggle and cackle and talk about nothing and just go home. Like, that's all I want to do, because I got enough real stuff that I'm dealing with, right? Point number two, always. The always, though, that I had to own, either out of big sister syndrome, martyring, ministry, Christian stuff about how you're supposed to do unto others as you would have them do unto you, like just a plethora of wirings I had to own, that I, hear me, instead of focusing on Debbie Downer or a problematic Peggy's issues, I had to own that I was always inviting Yvonne, gather everybody, Gina. And many of you know that about me, honey. If I host a women's summit, I'm trying to get about 100 plus women in the door, right? I had to own that I was inviting Yvonne or gathering Gina, always. That's what you do. And you know what? Instead of complaining that she consistently comes and operates a certain way, you got to own that you're the one who gives her the date, the time, and the location. Own that, Gina. Own it. That is what you consistently do. That's what you do. And do the deep work of understanding why you do that. Do the deep work of understanding that you don't want to rock the boat. Do the deep work of understanding that you try to overcompensate for folk. Do the deep work of understanding that when you grew up wearing them skirts, y'all know I told y'all about that, and not being chosen and not being picked, you know what it's like to not be included. So you will overexert yourself to include people, even though the Bible says that he who has friends must first show himself friendly, and it is not your responsibility to make sure that unfriendly folk have friends. You're still petting and coddling people based on your own life drama. Heal that for you and quit trying to make up for that deficit in other people's lives. That's my real talk. That's what you're doing, Gina. You know what it's like to feel isolated or to stand alone, but you're not holding them accountable. You just include them in all your stuff, even though they get to your stuff and don't smile and be nice to nobody. Right? Are y'all tracking with me? So always. So then here was my adjustment. Mentally, before I did it, I counted up the costs, because I knew that the person had like audiences and we had similar whatever. And I knew from dealing with the person that you're going to go and project a certain narrative. And I'm not. I'm not going to chase you and try to explain it. You go do whatever you want to do. Right? I had to count up that cost. And I kid you not, because I want you to understand that. And I had to live that. I had to live through a narrative. I had to live through social media postings without my name, but I got it. Y'all know how the folk do that kind of immature stuff. I had to live through that. But I want you to know that, because I would be wrong to try to project that when you do certain adjustments in your life, it's easy peasy, icy good, and everybody claps for you. That's not the case. Oftentimes, when you begin to make decisions that are in the best interest of your peace, people have a problem with it. People push back against it. You don't always get to tell your narrative about why you can't come to that family function, why you exited the group chat, why you no longer go to such and such, why you don't pick up the phone when they answer. And guess what, mature woman, kingdom citizen, sometimes you have to give up the right to be right. Sometimes you have to be cool with living peace instead of explaining peace. Sometimes you have to be cool with living in peace instead of trying to make your point. Sometimes you have to grow up and say, I don't have to get the last word. I'd rather have no words if it's a space of peace than to get the last word. That's what adjusting looks like, right? And so I made a cognizant decision. Honey, I didn't call and say, you're not going to be invited no more. I just stopped inviting. Because I don't need to make an announcement about the adjustment. I just adjusted. Let it do what it do. Somebody say that with me. Let it do what it do. So yeah, for each of us, area, always, adjustment. It's Wellness Wednesday, y'all, and I'm inviting each of you to chronicle those three areas and own being able to do the work. And whatever that looks like for you, if it's finances, if it's health, if it's financial. I know one of our persons, won't say any names even there, she's wanting to have peace in her plans for like moving forward in an endeavor, moving forward a couple of people in their 2024 plans. And I was honored, right? She went and did my service that I do with that, doodles and downloads. That's a quick plug for anybody else who wants to do that. And she's like, I just need to talk it out with you. I need a space to just give out some ideas and 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 um and get your feedback, get your strategic input. I want to hear what you have to say about that. And here was the adjustment for me, y'all. Like this is the thing. It's just recognizing, yeah, I do that. And sis had no problem when I said, so go to my site and book that service. That's my adjustment. That's for people who are doing your businesses and you're trying to go to the next level. Really having your processes and your systems in place and being okay with referring people to that and being okay that they may not take advantage of it. Like just really landing in your peace instead of like complaining like, "Oh, people are always reaching out and they say they're going to take me to lunch and they want to chat with me for 2 hours." No. I don't get paid with food. I'm trying to help us. I stopped complaining about those types of things. As a person who has spent thousands of dollars being trained and going to school and getting degrees, I stopped complaining that people want to invite me out and get my insight and my ideas and my mind and my time. And their response for that is, I'll treat you to lunch. I don't work for food. But then, Gina, what have you put into place? So I don't digress for business owners. What have you put into place then? So that people really know how to access you in those services. Stop complaining about the behavior and you do the adjustment. So that's out there for anybody who wants that. But for somebody else, it's your mental wellness and you're making a decision that I'm actually going to go and get a therapist for 2024, or even for the wrap up of this year. Like area, always, adjustment. That's what we'll wrap up on today. Holy Spirit, be here. Cover everything that we've talked about with your precious peace that allows us to have discernment, allows us to really hear things in context and to receive them with love. If you can receive all of this insight with love, you lean on that heart button. If you have questions and you need to get them to me before Talk to Me Thursday, then put them on into the inbox or send them to Jen and she'll make sure that I get them. And we'll continue to flush this out. Sincerely, y'all, sincerely is said with love. And as always, I really do. I honor the greatness that is on the inside of you. I'll see you right back here in the morning for Talk to Me Thursday. Bye now.